Welcome to the Never 9 to 5 podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Hansen, and I created this podcast to talk about all things digital entrepreneurship, living abroad, business development, marketing, and sales. I've been a digital entrepreneur myself for 5 years and have recently made the jump to living abroad in the south of France. It's my passion to discuss entrepreneurship and help others build their dream business on the internet and dream life around the world. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Never 9 to 5 podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Hansen. And yeah, I'm excited to be back. I finally moved and got settled in my new apartment in Marseille. I've been here a few weeks, but I don't know, I feel like moves are just draining, and especially international moves if you've ever done one. And I also thought I threw away my charging cable for my microphone. So I was like, I can't record any new podcasts until I, am able to plug in my microphone. And so I ordered one on Amazon. Finally got it yesterday. It was like, great, I can record one tomorrow, charge my microphone all night. And then when I was getting out all of my equipment, I discovered that I had the charging cable all along. It was just in my light box. So anyways, that's how life goes. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been experiencing a lot, something that dealt with and thought about a lot and just continue to work on a lot in the past year. I kind of started working more on my mental health journey and just trying to get my mental health back into good shape. But that thing is balancing your masculine and feminine energy as an entrepreneur, or honestly, just as an adult, as a working adult. And so I kind of realized or had a waking up experience when I experienced burnout about a year ago. I was so burnt out. I was working at least 13 hours a day, working on the weekends, always, answering messages, always doing XYZ, not really giving myself time to rest. And I honestly crashed. I could not function anymore. And burnout, I feel like just gets, I don't know, I don't think people take it seriously. It's kind of, I think people think it's just like being tired, but it's 10 times worse than being tired. I truly believe that if you don't take the time to rest, your body will force you to. Your body can only take you so far, and when you need to get shit done, it will work with you. It will keep you awake and keep you going to get shit done. But when it reaches that point where you just cannot function anymore, it will shut you down. And I feel like I'm still I'm recently kind of crawling out of the depths of burnout, but it's not something that lasts a week or two. I mean, it can be months where you are just experiencing extreme fatigue as a result from burnout. So that's something that I experienced a lot this past year, and I'm feeling a bit better from it, but it's really affected me, and something that I again just dove deeper into. How can I have some work-life balance, as everyone likes to call it? How can I really focus on this and still be able to be this, successful business owner, entrepreneur that I want to be, but how can I maintain my sanity and get the rest that I need? And I think that's something, especially as an American or anyone living in a hyper capitalist society, I just feel like we're raised and taught in school and just taught by society that if you're resting, you're not working, you're not being productive, and that's a problem. You're being lazy. If you're rest equals laziness. And as with everything in life, there's a balance. So of course, if you don't ever do anything and you're just laying there watching TV. You're not working towards any of your goals or any projects or hobbies, and it's just extensive. There's no end in sight. Of course, like, that is laziness. But laziness does not equate to evil. Like, being lazy has its like place in our life, and having moments of laziness, and not even just moments, having even days of laziness and weeks of laziness, I believe can actually be beneficial. But again, it's all about balance. Even moving here to France, I gave myself in my mind, okay, like, I'll take a week, I'll move, I'll get settled, and then I'll, be able to throw myself back into work. And it didn't work like that, of course. Honestly, the mental stress, and just not even stress, it just was like, I don't know how to just describe it. It just took up a lot of mental capacity to plan for and go through the process of and execute this move. And yeah, it took a lot more mental capacity than I think I realized it did, especially like the few weeks leading up to the move. And so when I got here, even after that week, I was exhausted. I was still exhausted, and I didn't care about getting back to work yet. And I slept a lot. Like, it was crazy. I was sleeping 12 plus hours, every night for at least a week after I had already been settled, and even up until this previous week, sleeping till like 11 every day. And I started to get anxiety around it. Like, the built-in societal expectation of me is like, oh my God, Sarah, you're being so lazy. Like, you have shit to do. Why are you sleeping so much? Why aren't you working? Why aren't you doing XYZ? You're not being productive. Like, you're gonna fall behind. You're gonna have all these issues. And I started to slowly let that built-in voice creep into my mind. And I went to visit a friend in Paris for a few days, and I was telling her about it. I was like, oh, I just feel so horrible. Like, I feel like I can't, get productive. Like, I'm just so tired all the time. And she was like, you literally just did an international move that took a lot of planning. Like, it's okay for you to be lazy for a few weeks and just like get your energy back. And I was like, you're so right. And I know this. Why am I letting these intrusive thoughts take over my mind again? And again, it's just like something that is built into you, especially if you grew up in the States, that being lazy is not good, and your only value is in being a productive human being all the time. So, and it's so funny because, like I said, these are things that I've been trying to combat and just really took a deeper dive in, especially in 2022. Even then, like, I'm aware of these things, but I still like was experiencing something similar and still like let the intrusive thoughts come back in. And I think that's just a testament that like you're never done doing the work. Even if you're aware of things, you're still gonna be constantly combating these things. But the number one step is being aware of them, being aware that, this toxic idea of always being productive and doing nothing is lazy is not true. So just being aware of that, and then also following up with yourself and giving yourself grace. That is what is the most important. Giving yourself grace and giving yourself space to be lazy and to rest, and to know that by giving yourself this time, you probably will actually be more productive once you are ready to step into that mode of working. So I've kind of just been talking about these things so far loosely, but when we're talking about rest and, being in tune with your emotions and just allowing yourself to kind of be in a flow, like your work-life balance. So, enjoying your life and being a human being and also working is a flow, and it has hills and valleys, and it's not, a constant rush of work and productivity in your life come second. I know that all of these traits are feminine energy traits. So I saved on my phone just so that we can all, because I know that if we're talking about like feminine energy and masculine energy, I don't want to say verses because they all serve a purpose in our life, but they're separate things. And I know that this can be new to some people. So just some common traits of feminine energy: easily able to calm down, good at taking care of themselves and loving themselves, able to find creative inspiration, able to empathize, able to make judgments outside the realm of rationality, prioritizing what you're feeling, and having good communication skills. These are all what would be categorized as your feminine energy. And when we think about being an entrepreneur or just being a productive person or a good worker, whatever that means, those aren't necessarily like being in touch with your emotions and prioritizing yourself and all of that. Those aren't the characteristics that come to mind. So especially if you're an entrepreneur in any sort of leadership role, I think we're always focusing on the stereotype of what makes you a good leader. So masculine energy traits: action, reason, logic, strength, loyalness, firmness. Those are words associated usually with masculine energy. And I don't want to feel like I'm poo-pooing on masculine energy, and I'm not, because all of these things are important to have sometimes, especially when you are in your workflow. Being able to take action, being able to be firm in your decisions and in business deals. These are all very important things to have. However, when you are only living in masculine energy, when you're only allowing yourself to use logic, when you're not paying attention to your emotions, paying attention to how you feel, when you're just in that, go entrepreneur boss life mode, if you overdo it, that is when burnout happens. Because think about it. You're not listening to your emotions. You're not listening to how you feel. You're not taking cues from your body. Like, I'm exhausted, I need to rest, I need to turn off. You're only, thinking about getting tasks done, making business deals, you're only thinking about the purpose you serve in productivity, and how you can make yourself more productive, how you can get more done. So when you're only living in that headspace, when you're only kind of taking these stereotypical traits and approach to entrepreneurship, especially as women, that is when you are going to drive yourself into burnout. That is when you are going to experience the most depression, the most anxiety. Your mental health is just not going to be in a good space because you are not listening to the needs of your body. And this is a note that men can take too, because I think we've seen enough. There are enough examples, male leaders, famous CEOs or whatever that we know of that represent all of these tasks, that represent productivity and logic and reason and strength. And we see enough of these examples, but it makes you wonder, like, you almost feel bad, like, are these people listening to how their bodies are feeling? Are they staying in tune with their emotions and in tune with what they need? Like, do they need a break? Do they need social interaction with their friends or with their family? Do they need to tap into their creativity? And so it almost, I don't feel bad, boohoo for millionaires and billionaires. But we only just see these examples of how great these men are or how great these leaders are, but you have to know, especially after opening your eyes to things like feminine and masculine energy, it just, makes you more aware of, yeah, of course they are getting all these things done and making millions of billions of dollars, but they're so fucking dead inside, probably from ignoring the needs of their feminine energy and not working in the flow and balance of both feminine and masculine energy. You don't really, after opening your eyes to that, you don't really envy their lives so much. So anyways, now that we kind of know the difference between feminine energy and masculine energy and the need for both in life, in our careers, it just makes you think, doesn't make you think, but you need to start paying attention to how you can incorporate both into your life. And that's when you really start, in my opinion, that's when you really start to see the most productivity, because of course you're going to get a lot done when you're focusing on just being in your masculine energy, but at some point you're going to reach a burnout but still be coasting in masculine energy. So you're not really going to be getting a lot of great things done. You're gonna be getting your daily tasks done, but you're not going to be you're not going to be creative, and you're not going to be thinking of new great ideas or new great innovations or new things to implement in your business or in your work, and things are going to actually just begin to be stagnant. And what I've noticed is when I let myself have those moments of rest, I come back with so many ideas and I'm so excited to execute them because I know that they're just genius. For example, last summer when I came to France for a few weeks, I really wasn't planning to work a lot, focused on getting done every day what I needed to get done, but that was it. I wasn't in my masculine energy. I was more so in the flow of feminine energy. I was prioritizing rest, prioritizing my friendships, prioritizing nature, reading, just things that are more so in the joys of life. And that was for about 6 weeks. And then literally when I was at the airport on my way back home, I had so many ideas. I need to write all of this down or I'm going to lose it all. I made a spreadsheet with everything I wanted to do, new things I wanted to implement in my business, when I wanted to do them by. And if I had been working as normal or been staying in my masculine flow during this time that was supposed to be my break, I know for sure I would not have left that break feeling as energized as I was and as excited and as ready to execute these ideas than as I was when I took that time to be in my feminine energy. So I recognize that not everyone is able to, long breaks. I recognize that is not a reality for most people. And so I think you just have to think about when you can, in your daily life, mix in feminine and masculine energy. That is, and I still do that now. It's not like I go on vacation for however many weeks and then I come back and work for however many weeks and stay in my masculine energy for that long. And then I go on vacation and I stay in my feminine energy. These are things that I have to incorporate into my daily life. And that's how I keep my sanity, is by mixing the feminine with the masculine and by realizing when I need to be staying in my feminine a bit more, and maybe making sure on the weekend I'm not checking email or doing work, and I'm really just focusing on rest and my social, my friendships and my relationships, and catching up on movies and journaling and reading, just focusing on that side of life. But when you're thinking about from day to day, especially your weekdays when you are usually working, how can you mix in both? So these are just things that I suggest. You have to find what works for you and what makes you feel the best at the end of the day when your head hits the pillow, what makes you feel just satisfied with life. So for me, that means getting enough sleep. Sleep is my top priority. I also have PCOS, so that's something I have to prioritize anyways, just for my hormone health. But everyone should prioritize rest anyways. It's the single best thing that I think you can do for your health, is resting and getting enough quality sleep. So if you can, if you usually only sleep 5 hours a night, try to get that 6. just really focusing on how you can get enough rest. Some ways to balance that is to, not be on your phone 30 minutes before you go to sleep and 30 minutes when you wake up. How can you separate that? How can you make sure that you are really giving your brain time to shut down? Focusing on reading again. I think we're all so plugged into our devices that a lot of us have forgotten the simple joy of reading a really good book from cover to cover. So if you are replacing, your TikTok scrolling before bed, maybe you could replace that with a book. That's just, again, something that I would suggest, but it's all up to you. And what are you doing in the morning to make you feel good and to set yourself up on a really good note? For me, what this looks like personally is I usually meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, not that long. I don't think I can focus for longer. So I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. I, make a coffee. I do a morning skin routine. I haven't the past few weeks because, again, I've just been really focused on resting. But sometimes that means, doing a quick 20-minute Pilates just to wake up my body and my muscles. Sometimes that means going for a quick walk, depending on where you live and the temperature. But going outside, connecting with nature is really important for your feminine energy and just feeling grounded and connected. So that could mean a 10-15 minute walk, just going around your block or your neighborhood. It could mean, if you maybe like to read in the morning, you could read a fictional book, or maybe even a personal development book. You could read the news if you do that. But just finding a way to stay off of technology in the morning really helps to keep your mind balanced and just keep things, positive and light. Especially if you're someone who wakes up and is instantly checking notifications or checking your work inbox, that is automatically going to set you up to go into that masculine energy and not still be paying attention to how you're feeling that morning, and are you well rested, and what kind of emotions are you feeling when you wake up. So just trying not to do that. Even the first 30 minutes of your day can really change your life. Other things you can do are just kind of figuring out how you can enjoy more feminine energy throughout the day. So again, that could be, making sure that you take a proper lunch break. And if you're on that break, maybe that's when you could go for a walk, or maybe you call a friend and someone you haven't talked to for a while and catch up with them and just, think about things outside of work or outside of any other things you have going on. Maybe taking a nap, 15-minute nap if you're feeling low. Just remembering that you're human and sitting and listening to what you're needing in that moment, whether it's social interaction, whether it's rest, whether it's to move. Just listening to your body and figuring out throughout the day how you can work those things in. Setting aside time for that is going to be important, because we get in the mindset of just work, and then all of a sudden it's been 8 hours and you haven't left your computer, and you are hungry and you're tired, or you're having body aches because you've been sitting all day, or you haven't been with anyone all day if you work from home and you're really feeling lonely. Trying to get in moments throughout the day where you can kind of serve yourself is important. It's going to help you kind of balance out the energies. In the evening, thinking about what are passions. Have you ever sat with yourself and thought, do I have any hobbies or passions outside of my work? And especially now, we're working so much, and we also are consumed with our phones and social media that we don't really sit and think if you have any hobbies. And so diving back into hobbies that make you feel creative, maybe put your mind at rest, and are another reason to get off of your phone and stop working. We also come from a generation where we turn all of our hobbies into a side gig. So just finding a hobby that doesn't have to be monetized, it's just something you enjoy, whether that be painting or knitting, or even just writing letters to friends, or whatever that may be for you. Just diving back into the hobbies, you'll feel so much better. And then again, before you go to bed, just making sure you're tuning out from work and technology. So these are just kind of ways that you can incorporate more feminine energy in pockets of your day when you are just expected to be working, but also thinking about how you can bring feminine energy into your work. Whether that be, showing more empathy for your coworkers, if you are like a CEO or a boss, for your employees, trying to bring more human moments into work, whether it be in the beginning of a meeting, just like making sure everyone can talk about, like what we do on my team is talk about, anything you're looking forward to in the next week or anything great that happened in the past week. And we usually spend the first 10 or 15 minutes just talking about our weeks and just making sure we're bringing that human element. And I want to make sure I show people I care about their lives outside of how much they can get done for me when they're working, So just thinking about how you can bring, empathy and emotion and just humanizing your work day and bringing, again, some more of that feminine energy into your work with your team, that can really make an overall difference in how you're feeling and make sure you're not just sitting in your masculine energy all the time. And then finally, outside of that, like paying attention to your body and recognizing maybe when you do need to take a day. And sometimes these are called mental health days, but you can call it whatever you want, but sometimes you just need a day to not do anything, to be lazy, to rest, to sleep more, to, just not spend time sitting in front of your computer, having to get a bunch of shit done, only being able to think about, checking off your task. Oh, this argument with an employee. Oh, this client's mad at me. Just taking the time to step away from all that bullshit during the week if you need to. Even if it's just having a longer morning or if taking a whole fucking day, just recognizing that within yourself. And again, I realize not everyone has the luxury of doing that, especially if you are, you work for a company and so you only have a certain amount of sick days or whatnot. I'm kind of talking from a point as being an entrepreneur and being self-employed. Sometimes you do have more of that flexibility to do that. So just recognizing when you need to do that if you are in a position to, and taking advantage of it. Because if you're already in that mindset, you're not going to get shit done that day. And if you do, it's not going to be your best quality work. So listening to yourself, that's the best thing you can do for, believe it or not, your productivity, is taking a break. And that's the best thing you can do for your productivity and creativity, is giving yourself a break and giving yourself time to rest and relax. So I'll end it on that note. I really enjoyed this conversation because this is something, again, that I've been focusing on a lot the past year. And the big, takeaway from this is give yourself grace. If you're ever beating yourself up for relaxing and needing to rest and doing so, and you're feeling anxious or guilty about it, give yourself grace. You will come back stronger than ever. You will get done what you need to get done. Everything works out the way it needs to work out and the way it will work out and has been planned to work out. So give yourself grace, let yourself rest, and just focus on balancing out the feminine and masculine energies in your work-life balance. That's all I have. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to rate and review it, share it with a friend who you think could benefit from it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.